2 months ago, the others and I escaped from the circus. And yet, when I opened my eyes, I was alone. I walked for a long time, hoping to find a phone booth to call my mother, but the police stopped me first. I took the opportunity to ask them for help. I told them I thought I was a missing person. The police then searched their database and took me to the police station. In the reflection of the glass, it's hard to see my former self again. I think I had ended up getting used to my jester-like appearance. Once at the station, they asked me questions about what had happened to me. They told me they had found my car abandoned in front of an old building 7 months ago. I chose to tell them that I remembered nothing, not even my own name. They called my parents to tell them the news, and they came to the station. My mother burst into tears. Christine, I never thought the circus would change me so much. I could no longer bear to see my former self. I needed a change. Strangely enough, I had gotten used to my colorful avatar, and going back to my darker, edgier self just didn't feel right anymore. And I still hold on to the hope that wearing the 3 colors that once defined me in the circus might, by some miracle, help others recognize me in the street. Yet I know such a chance belongs only to the realm of miracles. After a month, I moved back into my old apartment. My mother was hesitant about it, but I desperately needed the solitude to reconnect with myself. Now I find myself alone, without them, stripped of my bearings and my routines. Even if the circus was a prison, its prisoners were still human beings with whom I had forged real bonds. I worry about the others. I can only hope they truly manage to escape. They are people like me, forced to relearn how to live, carrying our fractured minds, unable to speak of the circus to anyone without being dismissed as insane. And I miss them. I'm trying to piece together a normal life again. Relearning how to eat, how to tame my anxieties, how to live with my solitude. For 2 months, I searched for them relentlessly. But shortly after I bought the first aquarium, I noticed a sign missing. Why were the names we had been given so common? I even reached out on Reddit, hoping someone might have heard of the game, the amazing digital circus. But it was all in vain. Still not a single response. Then, one day, a notification popped up on one of my YouTube videos from a user named JacksBoy52. I was overwhelmed, shocked, moved. A rush of emotions flooding me all at once. I quickly replied, hoping with all my heart that it was really him. I tried not to get too carried away, just in case it wasn't actually him. Then he replied immediately, just leaving his phone number. I promptly took a screenshot and deleted his comment. How reckless to do that on the internet. I typed his number into my phone and had a brief moment of hesitation before I called. Please, let it truly be him and not just some creep hiding behind a screen. The next morning, when I woke up, I saw a message from him. He was asking if I wanted to meet in person and grab dinner together that evening. Without hesitation, I said yes right away. But a second later, a tiny bit of regret crept in. I wasn't ready. Not in my head, at least. Talking on the phone had been easy. I knew his voice, his tone. But face to face? What would I even say? How should I act? What should I wear? I spent the rest of the day restlessly pacing, my mind looping through 1,000 possible scenarios. Our reunion, the silences, the awkward pauses. Every 10 minutes, I changed outfits again, never satisfied. I wanted what I wore to help him recognize me. In the end, I settled on a pair of overalls, a little nod to Jack's, and a sweater in the colors of my old avatar. I gave myself one last look in the mirror, taking a deep, steadying breath. Every tiny hesitation felt magnified in my mind. Every detail of how I looked seemed so important. Then, finally, I gathered myself. Doubts aside, I just wanted to see him. Yesterday, I learned that he lived an hour away from me. Are the others nearby as well? At least it gave me hope of finding them, and now we would be two searching together. I pulled out my phone and opened Google Maps to check the route to the restaurant. It was a 40-minute drive from my place. On the subway, about 10 minutes into the ride, I messaged him to let him know I was on my way. On my way. Be there in 30 minutes. Though the nerves were still there, excitement had taken over. I was a little curious to see what he really looked like in person. Once I reached the city, night had already fallen. I made my way to the restaurant, following the directions on Google Maps. It had been ages since I'd done something like this with friends. Going out to eat, grabbing a drink, or any other casual activity together. On the subway, about 10 minutes into the ride, I messaged him to let him know I was on my way. Though the nerves were still there, excitement had taken over. I was a little curious to see what he really looked like in person. Once I reached the city, night had already fallen. I made my way to the restaurant, following the directions on Google Maps. It had been ages since I'd done something like this with friends. Going out to eat, grabbing a drink, or any other casual activity together. Not far from the meeting spot, I caught myself trying to imagine what he might look like. It wasn't easy. All I could picture was that sly purple rabbit, and I thought the only thing that would never change was his smile. Right then, I got a message from that bunny boy. He said he was already there. The only hint he gave me was that he was wearing a pink bomber jacket. I looked around, trying to spot someone who could be him. Then, under the glow of a streetlight, I saw him. He was there, and of course he had purple hair. One hand in his pocket, the other holding his phone. Calm, yet attentive, as if he was looking for someone too. For a moment, I froze, unsure if I should move forward. All the scenarios I'd imagined throughout the day collided in my mind. And yet, despite the whirlwind of emotions,
A smile naturally spread across my face. Then, the word Jax slipped out of my mouth on its own, like old habits coming back.
He turned his gaze toward me, and as soon as I stepped into his line of sight, I saw his expression change, as if his brain was trying to process the information. At that moment, everything around me blurred. The noise of the city, the passers-by, the cold, all of it faded away. There was only him and me. I couldn't move for the moment, and neither could he. It was strange, all these emotions swirling inside me at that instant.